I mean, California as a whole just feels like it's just sliding into the river.
Oh, very much so.
At what point do we say, okay, the ship's sinking?
Did you see how everybody voted?
For
presidents and freaking senates and whatnot? They're waking up.
Back in the day or this
just
previous
now.
one? Oh,
Just
no, I haven't
now.
seen any of the results yet.
So the last ones that I checked, Biden had like 1.7 million votes. And then Trump had 1.2 million votes.
In California?
In California. Like California is starting to turn red. Yeah. And then that might...
It used to be red.
Right? But what about that guy, what is that, Mike Garvey or something like that they were putting on TV and said that he was too Republican for California and he voted for Trump twice and he's that baseball player or whatever? He's in the runnings now. Like he was right behind Adam Schiff, I think is the other guy's name. Yeah, he's right behind him.
Okay.
So surprisingly, and even San Francisco is starting to wake up, which really surprised me.
Well, San Francisco's so far gone, I don't know if they can... Can you correct the ship at this point?
Right?
Do they want to correct the ship? That's the better question.
Yeah.
Do we want to fix this?
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard telling. Yeah. And there's been so many businesses that I've heard of that have left there. It's like, it's becoming just kind of a ghost town.
I think it is a ghost town.
Yeah.
Well, you have the exodus and you also just have rampant crime.
Yeah. All the time.
Where's the incentive here to stay? On top of ridiculous taxes, why am I going to stay in California and deal with this?
Right. Yeah.
Let's go somewhere a little more safe.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've driven through there a couple times, taking my son down to the airport. And I've gotten, instead of going 13th Street to the Golden Gate Bridge, I've gotten directed to go through San Francisco and go around. And the shit you see down there, I'm like, dude.
The literal shit that you see on the sidewalk.
Yeah. And then you drive and you like pass this one alleyway on the right-hand side. And it's just nothing but drug deals going on down there. And then I've seen people like blankets over their head and you can see them like shooting themselves up right on the street. Like, are you serious right now? Like, how is this possible?
How is it possible? And people are just okay with it. I don't know if they're okay with it.
I don't want to say they're okay with it. It's just become a norm. You know, it looked like...
Which is scary how people can adapt to any situation.
Yeah.
We want to talk about what COVID showed us.
Oh, showed us a lot of sheep. A lot of sheep. You can be persuaded in any which way. You just, they tell you and you don't have a thought of your own and you believe whatever you hear. And yeah.
What scares me is the idea that daddy's going to protect us.
Oh,
the
yeah.
federal government is going to protect. Just give them more power and they'll protect us.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we have open air drug deals. Maybe we have crime. But they're protecting us. So... give them more power.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you see like
what?
You see like Oregon is now going back on their
backtracking.
Yeah. Yeah. And now they're wanting to take those drugs and not make them legal. Like, why'd you make them legal in the first place?
Yeah, I think it's on fentanyl and meth and some of the harder stuff.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense. You don't want people just shooting up
up
heroin.
No. And that place is definitely turned into a freaking ghost. I mean, it's dead. Absolutely dead. Yeah.
You have to think, what's the point in all of this? Why are we, how did it get here? Is it just compassion? Are we just overly compassionate and it's become detrimental? Is it kind of a plan? Is somebody steering the ship in this direction? What's going on?
Remember what they said out loud. They said the quiet thing out loud, right? They said population control. So what better way to control population than to let drugs legal and let everybody that wants to do it without getting in trouble and then kill them? I don't know.
Do you think that's like the World Economic Forum? That kind of...
I think so. I don't know.
Population control gets to that kind of fringe edge where people hear that and think, come on.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
But then you hear people say, population reduction is something that we need to do to meet global warming targets. And it becomes a little less fringe.
Right.
Because what do? People are having kids, not at a substantial rate. I think most Western countries aren't having a birth rate that can sustain the population even.
No, I think we're going to see it here even more so coming further out of this COVID. and years down that we're going to see a lot less kids.
Do you think that's why we have an open border?
So I heard that the open border, he says he won't close it because that's not what the Mexican government wants. Well, who runs the Mexican government?
Joe Biden?
No, the drug dealers. So who's making money off of this? You know, the drug dealers are paying Biden to freaking keep the border open so they can make their money. My milker, before he left, he even told me he's got businesses down in, where was it? Where was his family at? Somewhere down there. But anyways, he got a phone call one time because they needed to pay him or else they were going to kill his dad. And that's what he told me. He says, no, he says, it's very real. He says, they own us. And he says, they own the government. And he says, if we don't pay them, he says, they will kill us. He says, you can't have a business in their territorial area without paying them a certain amount each month.
And everybody likes to point to Mexico for that. And we could say there's corruption. The cartel runs things.
Right.
But nobody thinks there's that level of corruption in the States.
Right.
Why? Because our cartel members are dressed in suits and work on Wall Street?
Yeah. They're just as much of a wolf as anybody else.
More so. I mean, how much money does JP Morgan control?
Yeah.
Or any of these giant hedge funds?
Right.
I mean, more capital than some countries in terms of GDP.
Yeah.
But no, those guys
are legit.
They're on the up and up.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything shady.
No, not at all. When you're that big, you can get away with being that shady, you know?
I think it's encouraged.
I think
because you have to make more profit.
Right?
You got to keep the money coming in. You got to make the shareholders happy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we play a few games below board, and if we get caught, we only have $1 million fine.
Yeah.
And
we made 10.
Yeah, we can afford that.
Yeah.
That's not...
no big deal.
We have $9 million of pure profit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think that's what's really gotten bad with the world is everybody's gotten so greedy. Gotten so greedy. It's horrible. Horrible. I even see it within this county.
Really?
Oh, it's dumb. It's dumb. It's like, you know, everything is so overpriced. And it's like, here I am selling my milk. And yeah, sure, I'm not getting rich off it. But that's what we talked last time before. I never did this to make millions. But stores are selling damn near the same kind of milk that I am for $1.50, $2 more than I am. I'm like, why? I'm like, why are you doing that? Greed. It's greed.
Do you think that's what most inflation is right now? Is just greed?
You know, I don't know.
The inflation thing's weird.
It is weird. It is weird. Like 3 years ago when I went after an AMP grant, and it was what they called pack bedded barns. So I went and they were going to give me $750,000 to build a pack bedded barn. Well, you try to use as much of that money as possible, right? So one barn was an 85 feet wide, 190 feet long. Then I did a 50 by 80 lean-to for the back of the barn. And they wanted you to be able to take care of the bedding area. They want you to rototill it, keep it fresh and clean it and all that stuff. So they need you to be able to have that equipment. Well, I didn't have that equipment. So I still had money left over. So I went and priced out a skid steer, a rototiller, and a ripper. Still had money left over. That was 4 years ago. And I went and I had enough money to put a 130 by 140 foot barn on the backside. Just roof and poles, but you know, just a pole barn. That was it. But still had enough money to do that. So all of that together was just over $750,000. Today, I'm barely able to build two. The 85 by 190 and the 50 by 80 lean-to for $750,000. That's without the skid steer. If that tells you about inflation. Yeah.
Well, last time we were talking about gas prices.
Oh, yeah.
And nothing's really changed on that front.
No,
I mean, it came down a little bit, but it's
but
still... That's the crazy thing is everyone's like, oh, gas has come down. Yeah, but if you look to pre-COVID levels, it's still up an insane amount.
Yeah.
But no, it's come down.
Yeah.
So we're on the right track.
Yeah. It's like diesel's still $2 more. But okay, get outside of this county. Go to Willow Creek. It's like 50 cents cheaper, 80 cents cheaper. Heck, San Francisco, in the middle of San Francisco, I found diesel cheaper than I can here. Like, how is that even a thing? So who's running our county? Why is it so expensive within our county than everywhere else around here. When supposedly we've got barges that bring our fuel in, right? Is what I've been told.
Yeah, I've been told it's just crazy expensive to get here, but can't we just barge it from San Francisco? I mean, I'm sure that would add to the cost, but much? It makes that much of an impact?
Right? Yeah, I don't know. I've never understood that. And it's always been that way, though. It's always been more expensive here than anywhere else. Yeah.
And we have, going to Humboldt Bay. It's not like we're landlocked or you can't reach us by water or, we're that isolated. We're really not.
We aren't. Yeah. And it's like, why are we so expensive? Yeah.
The inflation thing is so weird because you talk about annual increases. So, it's up 3%.
Mm-hmm.
But that's 3% on top of the 4% that it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of the 3.5% from the year before.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to, they say good business, you always want to grow 25% every year to stay afloat, right? To stay prosper. Is that it? I don't know.
I don't understand how people afford basic life in some sense right now.
I don't think a lot of them are.
Credit card debt.
Oh, huge. Huge. Huge.
I think that's the canary in the coal mine right now is you have record credit card debt and people aren't talking about it.
No. I mean, then with credit card debt comes bad freaking scores. So you can't even get
insane interest.
Yeah, insane interest. So you're paying on your credit cards, 29%, and you're making the minimum payment of $30, $40 a month. You'll never pay that off. You never will. You'll be in debt for the rest of your life. And it just keeps getting worse every day. And the fact that you have to work 2-3 jobs to even stay afloat. Like, I've never had to work so hard in my life just to stay afloat. Like, it's stupid.
I was reading an article the other day that was talking about Gen Z and their spending habits and how most of them aren't saving money. They're in this doom spending cycle because they don't believe they'll ever be able to afford a house or raise a family or afford kind of the life that maybe our grandparents had.
Right.
So they're just buying.
Yeah.
They're just consuming at an insane rate because
they're not going to go anywhere else than where they're at right now.
Yeah, and life sucks, so I might as well buy whatever thing today makes me happy, and then we'll readdress it tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, and figure it out. Well, and yeah, land prices are outrageous. I was talking to a buddy of mine, Morgan, up in Wairika, and he's leaving there, and he's trying to find a place, and he wanted to come back here. He's like, I cannot afford a house for a family of 5. I think 3, 4, 5. Yeah, family of 5. He's like, there's just no way. He's like, and be a rancher. He's like, it's insane. He said, with, a price of a house to rent, he's like, you're just throwing your money away. And I've always thought that too. Every time you rent, you're not getting anywhere. You're just paying somebody else's freaking mortgage is all you're doing.
And you have nothing at the end of the day for
it. Right. So you're paying, say on a 5-bedroom house, something like that. What are you paying? $2,500, $3,000 a month? That's somebody else's mortgage. And with that, you can't save on top of that. So you're getting nowhere. All you're doing is spinning your wheels and making somebody else rich. But to buy, even to buy a house, it's nuts.
Even a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. What, $450?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, easy.
Who is working an entry-level position or is in their 20s that's buying a house?
Nobody.
And the interest rates we have now?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Good luck, yeah. But they say there's going to be a house crash, which I believe is going to come.
I'm surprised shit hasn't crashed already.
I know. I don't know.
I don't understand how we're still here.
I don't understand how this has been able to go so far. Like, I've been thinking this for like the last year. I'm like, okay, it's got to crash at some point. Like, something's got to give. Like, we can't just keep going like this. And how it keeps going is beyond me.
Some of it has to do with our funding of the war, I would imagine, and just cranking out industry.
Right.
Because what's propping us up?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's why they like wars, because that's where they make the money. Selling all the goods and whatnot. And yeah.
It's amazing that we've been ramped up this long. From a financial standpoint, I thought the markets were going to tank.
Yeah.
A long time ago. I thought housing would crash soon after that. And we're like a train,
Mhm.
and we haven't run out of track yet.
No. And it's starting to become the norm. Everybody's getting used to it. And so now you don't even bat an eye when something is outrageously priced.
You see $8 eggs for a dozen, you're like, oh, this is just what it is now.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. It's crazy. Or the meat, you look at the meat costs and it, $8, $10 a pound when it used to be $4, $5 a pound. Yeah. But they don't
It's
even
not
bat.
sustainable.
No, it's not sustainable. Not whatsoever. But for some reason lately it's been working. But yeah, I'm with you on it. I don't understand it enough to know why it's still going and why it has not crashed yet. But
Were you paying attention a few months ago when they had all those bank runs, or the banks that were collapsing, just shutting down,
right,
stock tanks, and they're this bank's going to get picked up by JP Morgan.
Mm-hmm. Now,
I thought that was the start of something.
So did I. And they're like, get your money out now because, the bank will close and you won't be able to get your money. And I was kind of in the back of my head. I was like, man, should I? Like, oh, no, I'll be all right. And I was. But yeah, what was behind that? What was JP Morgan trying to make a deal with the bank and they didn't want to, so they did something to make it crash?
It was a number of banks. It wasn't just one or two isolated incidents.
Right. No, it was a number of them. So, what was behind it? Why all of a sudden did they crash?
I think the challenge is that people are so busy, and if you can keep the times chaotic enough, they don't have time to pay attention.
Exactly. Watch this hand. While we do something over here.
Yeah, don't pay attention while society kind of just decays.
Yeah, right.
Just focus on your TikToks.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on scrolling.
Yeah.
Buy this next product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more, but it's okay.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Crazy world.
Man, I thought we were talking about it before we started. Last time you were on, I kind of thought maybe that was the peak of chaos.
Right.
We were still in COVID, but it felt like we were kind of making progress on the back end.
Yeah.
And maybe we were going to come out
of this. Yeah. And we're still in it.
We're more in it.
Yeah.
We're not so much in the COVID thing, although you had the CDC director come out and say, we've got another shot coming in the fall. Get ready. I think it's, 10, 15, 20. How many shots are out there now?
There now, yeah.
Get ready for your next shot.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about this new variant that's out there now that China did? And they're like, oh, this one will kill you.
I haven't even heard about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was another one that I heard of. And they were like, no, this one will kill you. It's killed every lab rat that they've tested it on. Like, no lab rat has lived through it. Yeah. It's like, okay, so how long before that makes it over here?
It's probably already over here.
Well, it probably is. Yeah. And is it hush hush, or are we going to make a big deal out of it? It'd be a perfect time. Here's elections up again this year. Are we going to do it again?
What do you think happens with this election? Do you think we make it to November and it's Biden and Trump? Get out your crystal ball.
Right. Yeah. I really don't know. I mean, you look at the new, what is it? We've got the Democrats, we've got the Republicans, but now there's like a new one like in the middle, and it's none. And they did a poll on it the other day, and it's like 30% of people don't want either one of them. But who's going to come in? Who is going to try to run against these two?
I like RFK.
Yeah, so did I.
I like him.
But does he have enough money? And that's the other thing too, is funding. Does he have enough money to back him to be able to fight against these two and come in? And he's coming in as a neutral. He's like, hey, I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm just here for the people.
Yeah, running independent's tough.
Yeah.
Especially, everyone likes to talk about the cult of Trump, but you have a very strong cult of Biden right now, where people are lockstep. They don't want to talk about his cognitive ability.
No.
They don't want to talk about his policies on Ukraine or on Israel and Palestine.
Right.
We're with Biden because the alternative is Trump, and we can't have Trump.
Because we don't like what he says, because he has hurtful words and he's too truthful. Well, guess what? The world needs some truth, because there's so many freaking liars out there in this world that sugarcoat everything. Sick and tired of it. It's stupid. It's like, I don't care. Tell me the truth. Don't sugarcoat it. Tell me how it is. I'd rather hear that than, give me some freaking fairy dust and tell me, oh, it'll be okay, when it's really not going to be okay. There's so many people that just don't want to hear the truth.
Well, it goes back to the daddy's going to protect you.
Yeah, right. Government's going to protect you. Government ain't going to protect nothing but their pockets, is what I look at anyways. The government's got their hands in way too many things and control way too many different things. It's like, go back to letting us Americans be Americans. Let us do what we want to do. As long as we're not hurting anybody, just let us be. Let us live. Let us make money. This is our life. Why are you trying to control every little thing that we do and tax us so many times on the dollar? It's like by the time you get done, you're taxed when you buy and then when you sell and everything else. Is like, what's left of that dollar? Nothing. You make 10 cents maybe? It's like, get out.
That's been kind of the biggest wake up for me as I've gotten older, is just realizing how many people want the government to just run everything for them. I don't know if it's out of fear or laziness or some weird power trip where maybe they don't feel enough control in their own life, so they want to believe somebody else out there is steering the ship and they know what they're doing. So you can kind of pull back and unplug and say, well, somebody's got it.
Right.
But they don't.
No.
They don't have it.
No.
They're just people.
Well, they enjoyed it during COVID because guess what? At that time, the government did have control. There was nobody working, and they got to sit back and collect a check. Oh, well, they're taking care of me. Oh, man, why would I want to go anywhere else? Why would I want to go work a 9-to-5 job and make less money and have to go actually get dressed and take care of myself when I could sit at home and play video games or watch TV all day and wait for the mailman to give me my check? Why would you change?
How many people would go back to the lockdown if it was an option?
Oh,
I
think a lot less. I think a lot less than what did the first time. But I still think there would be a lot of them that would. And I think our bigger cities is where it would really crack in because they're not isolated, but yet they are from the real world as far as how we live out here and more rural. They're stacked on top of each other. Take San Francisco, LA. And all they have is their phones and their TVs. And so they listen and they take in whatever they're told. That's what the media does, right? They tell you how to live. They tell you how to think. They tell you what to believe. And so if you don't think for yourself, it's what you do.
A lot of people aren't thinking for themselves.
No.
A lot of people.
No. But that goes back to, like you were saying there, as far as the work ethic and all that stuff, it's like they just want somebody to take care of them. They don't want to think. They don't want to do anything. And so, I think some of it does have to do with laziness.
Yeah. Life's hard. Hard. And working hard for something when the result is unknown is a real challenge.
Yes. And I think also it goes back to a lot of people nowadays don't even know what they want to do with their life.
That's huge. That's huge.
They don't even know what their passion is. And I think if more people would follow their dreams and what they're actually passionate about and actually work on that and make that their living, a lot more people would be happy nowadays instead of just a 9-to-5 job, coming home, paying the bills, taking care of the kids, and that's all you do. Like, for me, that's not a life. That's just going through the waves of the system, and that's just, but that's what you've been told to do. It's like, who was that? No. Who's the one that invented the schools? Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Rockefeller, I think, is the one, right?
I think so. I think so.
But what he said when he first started, he says, you make schools for employees. You don't make them for thinkers. We tell them how to think. We need employees. We don't need businessmen. That's what school's for.
It was for factory workers.
Exactly.
And in a day and age where there aren't factory workers,
no,
we're still plugging into the same system.
Mm-hmm. And now all we have is followers and people that just believe the system and this is what we do and this is how we're supposed to live our life. No, it's not. Think for yourself.
And I could understand if you want to plug and play that way.
Yeah.
If whatever's going on in your life, you don't have the time or you don't want to exert that kind of effort. I get it. I disagree, but I get it.
Right.
I understand
Each
the
to their own.
circumstances. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to not even question things, that worries me.
Right.
Because all you have to do is think about something for a few seconds and think, does this pass my BS test?
Does this really make sense? Like, why? Yeah. No, I agree. It's, yeah. That's crazy.
I don't know where that goes, man. There's just so much chaos. And people get accustomed to that.
Oh, they do.
And so then you have to the threshold keeps increasing. Okay, we can put up with this chaos.
Yeah.
Can we put up with a little more? Okay, let's shift it just a couple more inches. Can we still put up with that?
Right.
And then World War III starts.
Right. And they're seeing how far they really can. Exactly. I agree with that. Yeah.
Part of me wants to push back that there's some conspiracy plan going on. That this is all manufactured, that the chaos, the disagreement amongst people, the lack of information. But I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I really don't.
I mean, looking at the border and you think that's not sustainable.
Right.
So why is nobody addressing that?
Yeah. Well, and I think they brought them over for votes.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
I really do, in a way, Well, they tried passing that, what was that, in New York? They're going to let illegals vote, and then that got shut down. That right there tells you that was why they let them come over. Because they knew that Biden wasn't going to be able to win again with the voters in the United States with the way he's ran things for the last 3 years. So bring in the illegals, make them buddy-buddy. Hey, without me, you wouldn't be able to come over here and get free health care and a house and free food.
And some cash.
So, hey, I'll give you this, but come election year, you vote for me. Why not? So, yeah, I'm glad they shut that down. I would have been outraged if they would have let that happen.
I don't know that that's the last we've heard of that.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it'll come up again. The closer we get to November, I think it'll come up again. Yeah. Or they'll do like what they've done before and cheat and just use their names and throw them on a ballot. It's been done before. Why not?
The election fraud is such a crazy topic.
It really is. And
it's so insane.
You could go back and forth. You don't know the truth. Will we ever know the truth? Probably not. We probably never will. Was there fraud on both sides? Probably a little bit. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, what's the level of fraud?
Right, yeah.
It definitely happened.
Happened, but what was it?
To what extent? Was it enough to change results? I mean, what is the actual margin that we're talking about here?
You're right.
Hundreds of thousands of votes?
Yeah.
A couple thousands in key districts?
Right.
I had a guy on, a lawyer from Bridgeport, Connecticut. And Bridgeport, I believe, is the largest city in Connecticut. And mail-by-ballot fraud is just normal there. He's prosecuting a case where the judge said something like the documentation in the case was just absurd, the level of fraud that was witnessed. They had people on camera stuffing ballots and collecting ballots. There was a supposed case of somebody going to an old folks home and pulling ballots out of the mailbox or something like that.
Really?
Just without a doubt, there's fraud going on in that election. Yeah. And it just is what it is. Nobody's changing it. It's been going on for decades.
Right.
And that's just, if you want to win in Bridgeport, maybe you got to play the game.
Play the game, yeah. That's crazy.
But nobody's talking about that. Nobody's
of course
saying
not.
It's not real. And if it is real, it is so rare, it's not worth it.
Not worth it, yeah.
Bridgeport might argue with it.
Right.
Bridgeport might have something different to say about election fraud.
Yeah. And something else I've heard people say, they're like, maybe we just need a break. It's like a relationship. Maybe we just need to break up and not have a president for a while.
Yeah, but then who's running the country? JP Morgan?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I might take my odds with Biden over that one.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, but
If
it's
Biden makes it to November, and if he wins,
dude, we're done.
what
done.
happens?
Oh, get your guns. We're done. We're done.
Isn't it crazy that we are in a point in time where the idea of a real civil war is not
so far-fetched?
Yeah, it's not that crazy.
No, I never thought it. Never thought it. Growing up, we're fine. We're in the USA. War will never be here. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we look to the past and think of our Civil War as something that happened so long ago that it's almost intangible to us today. That the idea of states going at other states, brother against brother,
right?
Families against other families.
Yeah.
But the division is palpable.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Well, look at when Texas and Washington were fighting about the border and how many states stepped up. 24, 25 states stepped up and sent their own force to the border to help Texas.
And the federal government was against it.
Yeah.
No, we need to pull down these reinforcements that Texas is putting up.
Now, being a human being, how in your right mind could you work for the government and agree to that when they're coming into your own country and not just affecting everybody else's family, but it affects you and your family? And you're going to go there and you're going to go against this? Like, come on. Any real human being, like, have a heart and have some dignity. It's like, why would you go against it? I would have dropped out and said, F you, you know? No, I'm not working for you anymore.
Yeah, what's going through the mind of those Border Patrol agents?
Right?
As they're seeing the chaos.
Oh, man. I can only imagine that they're just like biting tooth and nail not to just freaking open up and just take care of it themselves. But
you're cashing a check.
Right.
This is your life.
Right.
This is the job that you do. And whether you disagree with it or not, this is what you've been hired to do.
I'm surprised there's not more militia that has started up yet.
Yeah.
Is there any?
Well, I think Congress was trying to pass, this is pretty fringe. I don't know how true this is, but I think there was some bill where they were trying to make it illegal for militias to form.
Of course. Because if militias formed, it would fight against them. They don't want no fight against them. So why not? Yeah, I'm just surprised. I'm surprised we've let it go this far. You ever watch Germany? What they're going right now? You see the
farming
farmers?
protests. Insane.
I'm like, why aren't we doing that here?
Well, what's even crazier is it's not talked about on CNN, on Fox News at all. Well, Fox News I don't know.
I haven't
for
seen
CNN, ABC for sure. I've not heard anything.
No.
And it's huge.
Yeah.
They're blocking roads. They're dumping sewage on the streets, on government buildings.
Yeah.
Or fertilizer, rather.
Yeah. Crazy. I'm like, you guys are badass. I'm like, go for it. I'm like, fight against them. And it all started with taxes. I'm like, that's crazy. But you'll never see that here.
You got to give it up to Europe. They know how to protest.
They really do.
They do. The French, the German, they know how to do it.
And they don't take no shit. They really don't. Like, they try to keep their government, especially, just like in check. I was like, no.
We do not have that here.
Oh, no.
We do not have that.
We get walked over and we're like, yep, okay, whatever. Been walked over before. We'll just deal with it. Not worth fighting against it, and just let it be. But yeah, no.
Do you think that could happen here with the desire to push away from cattle and from beef for these plant-based foods? Do you think that people would start to push back? Farmers would start to push back?
It already has been. It has been. There is starting to be a lot more local butcher shops opening up and fighting against it. Utah, I believe, just opened up one. Cattle rancher did. And I forget how many head of cattle that they're running through there, but they're taking all of their local beef ranchers and they're like, hey, come here. We're going to sell it local. We're going to get rid of, all of this bias and stuff that's been going on. And we're going to show the people that, American made beef is good for you. And so there has been a pushback on that for sure. For sure.
We just need it at the level of Europe.
Yeah, we definitely do. We definitely do. Little here, little there. I mean, yeah, it makes somewhat of a difference, but it's not a real big difference.
It's got to be at scale for people to take notice.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah.
And our scale is people sitting out in the highways with Palestinian flags trying to shut down the roads.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've got.
Yes. Yes. It's so hard to get through the city people. The people of San Francisco, LA, these big cities that are just locked in their cubicles that don't know, honestly, what's going on in the outside world besides what they're told.
Well, they're just so disconnected.
They really are. They don't even know where their food comes from, anything like that. Those are the people that we need to target. Those are our problems right there. They're told that plant-based burgers are the way to go because it doesn't kill an animal, but yet it kills you because of the ingredients that are in it. I mean, you take anything, and if you got to eat something that tastes like a burger, that looks like a burger, what do you think got put into it to make it do that? You can't tell me that that's healthier than going right off of the cow and eating it straight from the cow.
And most of those people are health nuts, which is the funniest part.
That's what gets me. Yeah. It's like, okay, so
they've got their almond milk. They stay away from high fructose corn syrup, but they'll eat these plant-based monstrosities.
Yeah. Right. And not even look at the ingredients. They're like, oh, well, I saved a cow by not doing this. And, a cow got to live because I ate a plant-based burger. Yeah, but you probably just took 10 years off of your life by eating those.
And how many other animals were killed in the process?
Right, yeah. How many other things were harmed in the process of making that patty? Yeah. They don't think about that, though. It goes back to electric vehicles. You look at the, what is it? The water from it and the lithium and everything back in what's those other countries that are making it and stuff. There's no
pollution in the water.
Just the pollution in the water. There's no living species of anything, plants, animals, anything within miles of it because it's so toxic. But we don't care about that because it's not in our country. It's in another country. We don't care. As long as we're getting the electric vehicle. They say the electric vehicle before it's even on the road is more pollution than a gas vehicle being on the road for 20 years before it even hits the road. But we don't see that. All we see is, well, we're driving an electric vehicle and we're not polluting the world. No, but you polluted the world to make it.
Yeah, we don't care about that.
No.
As long as the final product is better.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what it took to get there.
Even just pollution in general, we don't care if it's in the States.
No.
Which is weird because you have all of these people who are so focused on the environment, but look at East Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
Is anybody talking about that?
No.
Is the water still just glowing?
Right. And the people?
Yeah, God, you got to feel bad for those people.
Yeah.
That were just living there.
Right.
We're born into this town and it just gets fucked.
Yeah.
For what? For profit?
Mm-hmm.
They just light these tankers
and now
on
they're
fire?
finding out that the BNF, the train station,
Something
the train
like that.
company or something like that. You hear where that guy finally came out about how things are not being replaced or fixed and being paid off to
That
have
doesn't surprise me.
these derailments and stuff like that. Is that to drive up cost? Because once that product is on the ground, it's no good. Oh, we need more. So that drives up the cost and makes somebody else more money. So who's behind that?
Well, and then you hear that they didn't have to light that cart on fire. That they just did that so that they could clear it out faster. Guys, what did you do to the environment, to the people out there?
Yeah,
Just for profit.
Right. So you lit that. So not only did you pollute the ground, but now you just polluted the air that everybody around there was breathing.
That was the craziest image.
Right?
Seeing that plume up in the sky.
Yeah.
And it's just this giant black cloud
Okay.
over this little town.
So now you got to start thinking, okay, little tiny town, right? They want everybody, probably more people are probably going to be moving from there.
If they can sell their houses.
If they won't be able to. The government will come in and buy it for a penny. For a penny on the dollar, the government will come in and give them some money for it. But what's under that ground that the government wants? What's there that they want? There's got to be a reason behind it. I don't know. Conspiracies, I know. But why did that derailment happen there and everything? And then Biden never shows up until election year. He finally shows up. Come on.
I think it's just, I don't even think it's nefarious. I think it is corporate greed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you learn about how many of those trains actually derail. And
all the
it's
time.
crazy.
There's a lot of them. And it's like, how is it when we're supposed to have all these safety regulations and everything's supposed to be in spec, then why do we have so many derailments?
We're putting people into outer space and we can't keep a train on its tracks.
Yeah.
Make that make sense.
Yeah. We have AI. We've got all these robots, but yeah, we can't do that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. It's crazy. It's where people's attention and, and their priorities. It's just crazy.
Well, our attention is not on what is important.
Oh, very much not.
Across the board.
No. It's what can make us money.
It's not even that. It's
what do you think?
What can we attach some greater sense of morality to that can shift our focus away from our everyday problems? I think that's 90% of what Ukraine is people who have no idea about the country, know nothing about the underlying politics, don't know anything about NATO expansion.
Right.
But maybe they're struggling in their own lives, or they're unhappy, or they're not fulfilled, and they see the plight of these people against a perceived superpower that is crushing them. And they think, we need to stand up for the little guy. We can rally behind that. And now we don't have to think about these other things. We don't have to think about these train derailments. We don't have to think about our local politics.
Yeah.
We're focused on something greater, more important. This is the trial of our time.
The problem is while we are concentrated on that, we keep crumbling. And we really need to be not so much focused on what's going on outside of the United States, and we need to focus on what's going on here, because we are falling apart so freaking quick. It's not even funny. And before we know it, everything's going to be taken from us, and we're not going to be able to fix it. Like, we'll be done. And we will be
noticing.
Right. And we will be a third world country.
Nobody thinks that can happen here.
Oh, it's going that way.
Like that.
It is going that way. Seriously, it goes back to that whole pollution thing. I was thinking about that with the whole cows. Cows are polluting the world, and I've talked to a couple of people, but I also watched a video about a guy that went through the carbons. He's like, okay, he says you take 7 atoms of carbon, comes from the rain, goes into the ground. He says, and then the cows eat that grass. That carbon is up through the grass. The cows eat it. It goes through their rumen, and then it is then pooped out, right? He says, then we take that and we put it back out into the field, and then it's back up. He says, we're not adding to it. He says, it's just a circulation. And he says, the plants that we plant out in the fields, which is very true, the clovers, mainly clovers, alfalfa, stuff like that, takes up so much carbon nutrients or carbon from the atmosphere that we actually balance it out, if not overdo it, than what we produce from our cows. So us smaller dairies that are 80 to 100 cows that are sitting on 300-400 acres, we're not producing the carbons. We're actually taking more carbon out than what we actually produce. And yeah, the whole matter of that, I think that's just all a scheme, honestly.
The carbon argument is so crazy because plants need carbon to live.
Very much so.
I mean, are humans having an impact? Sure. It'd be crazy to think that we're not on some level.
Oh, we very much
but
so are.
What level? And at what level is that truly catastrophic? I mean, they've been saying that, the ice caps were going to be completely melted for so long. And here we are.
And they're still not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just all a political scheme.
And you need carbon. I think the argument is that this is the greenest time we've ever had because there's carbon in the air. So plants can grow and thrive.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything can be a cult. And the climate issue has definitely become cult-ish. without a doubt.
Yeah. And when did that started when, oh shoot, who was it? That was at, who started that?
Was that under Obama?
No, it was even before that. It was during like Bill Clinton. Dick Cheney, wasn't it?
Dick Cheney started that?
Was it Dick Cheney?
I'm thinking of who was the climate? It was
that's who I was
who ran
trying to think
against
of.
Bush.
Yeah, who was that?
Oh, his name's on the tip of my tongue.
I know, but that's
He
where
was the
like
climate guy.
that was like where it all really started.
Gore, Al Gore.
Al Gore, yeah.
I don't know if that's the one you're thinking of, but that was a big climate
guy. Yeah. Yeah. And that seems like where it really, I mean, it's always been a thing, but it seems like that's where it got really big, was that. And then it's just gotten pushed more and more as an agenda and whatnot. But they took a picture of in New York City with the statue there, and they showed the water level from, what was it, the 70s, 60s or something like that to now. Guess what? Water level's still the same. Still the same. And we're fighting that around here too. With all these fish and game freaking, like they did over there by PG&E, how they flooded that field.
I didn't hear about this.
On the 101 headed south. On the right-hand side there.
PG&E flooded it?
No. Fish and Game did.
Oh.
But it's next to the PG&E there. Humboldt Hill.
The power plant down there?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about?
Yeah. Just before that, on between Humboldt Hill and Exit and PG&E, they did that. And
why did they flood that?
Fish and Game. They just wanted to open it up. They said it was for water levels and for, what's coming. And I call BS, because now I'm fighting it down on my place. They want to take 70 acres and put it underwater. And I'm like, why? Oh, well, for global warming and this and that. And we want to save habitats. I'm like, and make more habitats. I'm like, what more habitat are you going to make than what we already have? The slough is right there. It has all the fish and everything. You're not going to open 70 acres and flood it and make any more of a difference. You're just flooding more ground and taking more ground away from us. But yet you still want food in your belly. And that's what I don't get, is everybody fights the farmer to take their land away. But hey, we want more food. Well, you keep doing that, and your food really is going to come from China, because us farmers ain't going to have any freaking land left. You want to develop on it, and you want to do this, and you want to do that on it, and you're taking everything away from us. You're taking the food right out of your mouth by doing that, but they don't think about that.
Well, the farmer is the lowest guy on the totem pole.
It is.
Which is insane, because that's the one guy we all couldn't live without.
I did a article with Lost Coast, and I knew they wouldn't put this in there, but I told the lady, I said, she was asking me about something, and we got onto this topic, and I told her, I said, the two highest paying people that should be in the United States, I said, in any country, I said, first should be our military. I said, because without our military, I said, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. I said, and secondly is a farmer. I said, because without the food, the military wouldn't be able to fight for our freedom. There was no comment about that one.
They didn't even put that in the article?
Oh, of course not. It's Lost Coast. Come on now. But it's very true. But yet we are the lowest man on the totem pole. We are looked at as peasants, but yet we work every day to feed our country for free, basically, when you think about it. When you think about everything that we buy and then we sell it at cost, we don't make any money. But that's why we have to diversify. And that's why you see so many small farms that aren't diversified, that are just reliant on one source of income, whether it's the beef or it's the dairy side and just doing milk. That's why you see a lot of them go under too, is because you can't make it.
And then they get scooped up by these giant factory farms.
Right. Or it turns into housing. Or Fish and Game buys them or something like that. Some government agency comes in and they like it and they're like, oh, well, we'll give you top dollar for it. And then you never see it as ag land again. It's lost. It's gone.
Well, if we don't have food, we're all fucked.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's the reality.
No, we're gonna eat grass.
We're gonna eat bugs.
Yeah.
Everybody get ready for your cricket protein.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's basically, I mean, it keeps going, but yeah, it's dumb. I mean, there's a lot of us farmers that we do fight against it. And Western United Dairy, actually, these guys here, they help us fight against all of that stuff every day. They're at the Capitol down in there in Sacramento. They're fighting against all of this. They're, there's groups of people that are trying to push back and say that we're the ones hurting the world. We're not. We're not. So
if I was going to put on my tinfoil hat for a second here.
Yeah.
The idea would be that if you can control the food supply, you can control the people.
Could you?
I think so. If you have... The only way you can get food is through government allocation. The government controls every aspect of our food.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to push back when the government comes to you and says, hey, this is what you need to do? Otherwise, you don't get food.
Yeah. And see, and that's what I'm afraid of that is coming down the pipeline is that they are, they're going to tell you, you can only make this amount and you're going to sell it through us and we're only going to pay you this amount. And it's either that or you're gone and we're going to find somebody else to do it for us. I see that coming down the pipeline. I really do. And that's scary. And that is scary. Can you control it? To a degree, but as long as you don't have other countries bringing in their food, because otherwise you're not going to get through to it because they're like, well, I can just get it from over here. It's fine.
And get it cheaper.
That
was a crazy thing.
That's the thing. How can you get it cheaper from another country that's got to get shipped over here than you can from us? That's something I've never understood. How is that possible? Is it because of volume?
Question.
Even at volume, though, I mean, how can you sell it that cheaply?
Well, I think labor factors into that.
Yes.
But then you have to think, how much does it cost to get it from over there to here? If you're shipping some grain from Ukraine to us, what is the actual breakdown in cost?
Yeah, I don't know. Because what's the price of fuel? And those ships, what do they go through? 100 gallons an hour? It's a lot of fuel.
And then you have the labor throughout that whole process to just get it here.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the people in the field working, but just to actually ship it to us. That's a good question.
I think for us as the United States to get a cheaper price is to cut out all the people involved in it. And what I mean is the middleman, kind of like what I've done. So when you have 3 or 4 other hands in it involved in your product to get it to the grocery store or to sell it at a store, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be food in general. It could just be anything. You have to split your profits in so many different ways, right? So when the cost of living goes up, well, then now your cost has to go up even more because you not only have to live yourself, but you got to give enough to everybody else. So cut that back. Quit having so many hands in your pot and cut it back to just you or you and one other person, and that's it. And then I think we could make things a lot cheaper. Because you look at me, yeah, I'm not making millions, but I'm still being very profitable on my own product. And I don't have all those other hands to where all these other creameries, they've got the processors, they've got the truck drivers, they've got the producers that make the milk and everything. They've got to split all of that. So they have to up their prices, and that's why they're so much higher than I am in the store. And that's what I see. So
I think that direct to consumer is going to be the future.
Oh, it is. COVID showed that. COVID showed that the people, that's what they want. And I think that's why I've been able to thrive on that is because it is straight from the farmer. It's food to table. It really is. And people thrive on that because they know where it came from. They know that it's safe. And that was like when we made the strawberry milk. I didn't want all those extra ingredients in it. I wanted to make it as simple as possible and make it somewhat of a healthy, good flavored product. And that's why we just did strawberries. And I was adamant about that. For like the last year, I told my family and I told people, I said, I'm going to make strawberry milk with real strawberries. Oh, that's not going to work. I'm going to try it. And I made it work. And it tastes like strawberry ice cream.
Yeah, for people that weren't aware, we were talking about this off air.
Yeah.
people don't do that when they create strawberry milk.
No.
They throw in all this other bullshit.
And surprisingly, yeah, they've got the cornstarch to make it a little bit thicker. They've got the extract. They've got the beet powder, which beet powder is good for you. But where's the strawberry at? That's like false advertising. How can you advertise strawberry milk with no strawberries in it? Oh, because you put a teaspoon of extract in it, you can call it strawberry milk? Come on. No. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that nobody else does that. So, but I'm proud to know that I'm the only one in the county, and who knows where else, that actually has real strawberries in strawberry milk, and I can actually call it strawberry milk.
And you can kind of cultivate that market.
Right.
Because people are going to hear that and think, well, I don't want to buy some off-label concoction of just random ingredients to make it taste adjacent to strawberries.
Right. And not know what you're putting in your body. With this, you're like, okay, it's whole milk with real strawberries, and you've got an oil base. I didn't use an alcohol base. I used an oil base extract and some sugar. That's it. None of that's going to kill you. It's actually healthy. So, looking at that, and I wish that more people would go to that and being more natural, being more real, instead of all these extra ingredients. It's stupid. And to me, it's just added cost.
Well, it's not real.
No, it's not.
Why are we doing that? How much? Can you do it cheaper with real strawberries and actually make it a good product for people? Why do we have to add all this other stuff?
No, I think it's actually probably more expensive in a way. Well,
I'm sure if you're buying at cost,
yeah,
the extract's probably cheaper.
Yeah. A fluid flavor can go a lot further than the actual strawberry itself. When it's not concentrated and it's just in a bottle. Because like that extract, I mean, for what I did a couple weeks ago, it was, say, a cup and a half for 400 or 500 bottles. So it's really, when you think about it, it's not that much. It's like a teaspoon per quart of extract.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad. So that can go a long ways. So I think they're actually just kind of double dipping and making even a more margarine, because they're not adding real fruits and stuff in there, and they're just able to take these liquids that they can get at cost very cheaply and make it just that much further and just thin it out.
Yeah, when you're talking at scale, a quarter of a cent could make a difference over enough volume.
Especially with what everybody else does. Me, I'm a fly on a windshield compared to everybody else that's doing this. They go through probably 1 million gallons a week because they've got so many producers going and bringing the milk and stuff. So yeah, a cent is completely doable as far as that goes. It goes a long ways.
But it's the perfect setup for you to come in and fill that void.
Oh, very much.
This isn't how we have to do this.
No.
And people want that.
Yeah. And being able to be small scale like that, I'm able to be hands-on with it and bring it back to being healthier and more natural and stuff and having a healthier product. And it's fun.
Yeah, you can focus on quality.
Exactly. There you go. Perfect. Exactly.
Which, if there was one thing that you really wanted to care about the quality of, it would be your food. Be the thing that you're putting into your body.
You would think that you would want to do that. But the big companies, they don't care about that. You're buying it. We don't care. If you die, heck, there's another one behind you. They'll buy our product the next day. Did you die from it? We don't know. You'll never know. Yeah, it's all about money.
Yeah, which is scary when it comes to our food.
Yeah, nobody cares about each other anymore. And that is scary. Nobody cares.
I think when you get so big,
you lose that sight.
Yeah. I mean, you can't care about the individual past a certain point, or at least that's the perception. I mean, if you're Cheerios,
right?
You're not, do you really care about quality that much, or do you care that people can stomach it? Mm-hmm. Maybe it only kills people every now and then. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's cheap enough. Let's do this. Yeah. Let's go down this route.
They're so big. The people that actually do see it, they might sell a few less, but is it really that much of a difference? Okay, so we don't get as big of a bonus this year, but we're still selling all of our Cheerios. It's, is it like a 2% margin on it that they lose a little bit because of it? Is it enough of a margin to change how they do it?
No,
not at all.
Somebody sent me this video of this guy who worked at a slaughterhouse. It was like a giant factory farm one, and they were slaughtering pigs. And he was working on some conveyor where they were grinding up the food that they were going to feed the pigs.
Okay.
And he's doing kind of this expose video. And I think he was fired because of it. And it shows them taking in all of this processed food, like muffins, old food, and they're just grinding it up, packaging it all. Boxes of things. You've got cardboard, plastic getting mixed in with this food. And he's showing everyone, hey, this is what we're feeding these pigs. This is what you're getting. All of this plastic, all of these external products, the packaging surrounding the food. This is what they're eating.
Wow.
And he was fired. I don't know how true that was. The video seemed pretty damning.
Yeah.
But you got to think, if you're some giant producer of food for pigs, are we going to take the time to unbox it, or are we just going to grind it all up? You have to think, okay, they're getting spread out. No, because you
probably spend more money on labor to do it the right way, to unbox it, than the money that you lose because a couple people know it and they won't buy it.
Time is money.
Exactly. Time is money. So are you? No. You're not going to change it.
That worries me. What is, especially with pigs, because pigs will eat anything.
Oh, they'll eat you. I mean, honestly, they are carnivores. They will eat meat, and yeah, they don't care. They're hungry enough. Yeah. Bone and all.
And then we're eating them.
Yeah.
That's not comforting.
No, not at all. No.
Yeah, I've been really hesitant. I don't really eat pork anymore.
Yeah.
Just because there's the cleanliness aspect too, where they carry a lot of pathogens and parasites and stuff. That kind of freaked me out. But just what are we feeding the animals that we're going to be eating?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we raise our own.
Which is the way to do it. And nobody outside of local farmers does that. How many people that are alive today are actually in charge of growing or cultivating their own food? How many people have a garden?
It's became more norm.
I think post-COVID for sure.
Yeah. Like my calves, I don't kill my calves. Everything gets a home, whether it's raised up to be slaughtered for their own, or it's raised up to be bred to start their own herd, whether it's a heifer or a bull. There's a lot of people out there that do want that localness, and they want their own. And if they've got a little bit of property, yeah. So, I've got probably a couple handfuls of people that are raising their own meat and doing it every year. And it could be a pig, could be a cow, whatever. So it is starting to be more, but as far as the amount of people, it's maybe a 0.5%.
And if shit hits the fan,
and
your supermarket isn't carrying any food,
I'm king. Because you're
sitting high on the hill.
I got your beef, I got your milk, and yeah. And once we get the new creamery up, I'll have your butter and your ice cream. So
yeah, in the post-dystopian world, you're going to be the guy hooking everybody up.
Right. Because I'll be the only one around here that'll be able to do it. Me and Humboldt Creamery, if that's still a thing.
But what a reversal of roles.
Oh, right. To become a peasant to a king when things hit the fan.
Well, and even just in terms of being in charge of your own food supply, we have outsourced that to such a strange degree.
Yeah.
Just for what? To maintain cities and to live in cramped, confined spaces.
Right? Yeah. No, it's been a thrill to be able to be in control. And you're not 100% in control. Your customers will tell you what they want and this and that. So they're still in control to a way, but I'm in control of my price. Whatever I want to charge is what I can do, and if I want to grow, I go find more stores or diversify and make different products and stuff like that. To be able to do that is really neat. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what we were talking about, the fulfillment aspect of life.
Right.
Is finding something that
you're passionate. Dreams. Yeah.
And that kind of helps keep out the chaoticness of the world. is when you have a pursuit and a passion and you're
because you're so focused on your future and where you're headed. Everything else outside of the world doesn't matter.
yeah, you're not sitting on a freeway protesting for Palestine because you've got cattle to work with.
Okay, but that's also why we don't fight against the system, is because we're too busy trying to make a living. And, it's tough because at the same time that you're trying to make a living, your living is also being taken away from you without you even knowing it because you're so focused. For us anyways, as farmers.
And you can't make the trip to Capitol Hill to go speak on your behalf and say, hey,
yeah,
small farmers here are
right?
being crushed.
Yeah, because of what you guys are doing. Yeah, we don't have time for that. We don't. But that's why they can get away with it. So, but that's also why we have the USDA and Western United Dairy Farmers and Farm Bureau and stuff like that. Those are the people that we use to fight for us.
How good is the USDA? I've heard varying complaints about them.
Depends on, I would say it probably depends on your size and whether you're legit or not. If you're trying to fly under the radar and do some shady stuff, yeah, the USDA
Probably not a fan.
Yeah, probably not a fan of it. Probably not a fan. But if you're legit and you're trying to do the right thing, they're your buddies. They're your buddies, and they do a lot of grants and stuff like that. That AMP grant that I was talking about earlier about the barns and stuff,
That was
through them. That was through them. Yeah. Even they've got solar grants that you can do and sign up, and they'll pay for solar panels to be put on your ranch. And they've done a lot of them down south up to $1 million for solars and stuff like that. So no, there's definitely good and bad to them. Yeah. But they're more of a certification and just make sure that you stay within the rules and regulations. So,
How strong do you think that certification process actually is?
No, it's very strong. Yeah. Yeah. No, they don't let you get away with much. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they can be Nazis and kind of push it a little more because they know they have control. But I know it's there for a reason, and it's there because of bad people. It takes one bad apple, and then another rule comes out, and now that rule is put onto you, whether you like it or not. But all it took was one bad person, and now you've got to follow it too, whether you were before or not or whatever. But now that's one more thing that they're going to ask for you. So.
Yeah, one bad apple, right?
Yeah. And it's like CCOF, our organic inspections and stuff like that. They want to know every little aspect. Like I've got to keep a calendar of the days that my cows graze, what fields they grazed. When it comes summertime, okay, how much feed did you make for winter? How much silage did you cut? How much hay did you cut? What's the tonnage of it? How many cows do you have? Okay, now how many days did you feed your cows in the wintertime of silage? And how much did you feed per cow? How many
pounds? You have to keep a record of all of that?
All of that. How many pounds did you feed per cow? Now they want to go back. Okay, the feed that you said that you made to the cows that you have, does that add up? Or did you go buy conventional feed somewhere else under the radar and not record it? So it's all paperwork. It's all making your numbers match up and stuff like that. But then also, what fields did you irrigate? How many times did you irrigate them? Did you put manure out? Okay, well, how many gallons of manure did you put out onto those fields? Was it liquid? Was it solid? All that stuff. They want to know every little thing. And so it gets annoying.
A little tedious, I would imagine.
It gets old. It gets old because it's like, we've got other things to do. We don't have time for all of this stuff. And so I try to get into a habit of like every day coming home and going to the office and write down on the calendar, okay, cows were here. This is what I did. This is how much I fed. So that way, when it comes down to it, I just hand them my calendar and I'm kind of done. But life gets in the way. And so you forget. And then it's like a month later, it's like, oh, shoot, I got to go back and backlog all of that.
Yeah, what did we do on this?
Yeah, what did we do? Yeah, exactly.
Is all of that just for quality control?
It's just to keep the honest.
But for what purpose?
For the organic purpose, as far
to get that label.
To get that label, right. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. No, we are watched heavily on every little thing that we do. Yeah. And now they're making it, they used to make it to where I believe, what was it? A conventional cow. So a cow that was fed, conventional grain, conventional alfalfa and stuff like that could transition into an organic cow after, I think it was like 3 years or something like that. Now they're making it to where it can't even be possible. Like there is no transition. Like that calf has to come from, or I think the calf, I believe now there's some new ruling on it. I got to read up on it again, but like the calf has to come from an organic cow.
You can't transition it.
Yeah, it's making it harder and harder for a transition to even happen. So, but that is taking out the bigger guys that were doing those transitions and stuff and having two different dairies, having an organic dairy and a conventional dairy. And so when the organic side would go low on cow numbers, well, instead of paying top dollar for an organic cow to go replace her, we'll just take these conventional cows from this dairy and we'll bring them over here and we'll go buy conventional cows for a quarter of the price, half the price of whatever it was. Well, now conventional and organic cows are neck and neck as far as price goes. So,
which that's probably not a bad shift to implement.
No. But it's cows now, heifers, 3-year-old heifers. You're looking at top breeds, $2,600 a head.
Jesus.
For one cow. And that's not even the highest. I've heard them going up to like $3,000, $3,200 per head.
What was it say pre-COVID?
1,300?
Damn.
1,100? Pre-COVID?
Damn.
Yeah. So it's been a huge difference. Yeah. But it follows the beef price. When the beef market's high, the dairy side's high. Yeah.
Well, it seemed to track that it's just going to keep getting higher, especially if you're taking land from farmers and trying to do this push away from, these smaller scale farms or from farmers in general and just trying to cram everything together.
The less farmers we get, if the bigger dairies do not get bigger, we grow a shortage. And then we ask for more demand, which demand is always good. Having demand is always good because then that puts us more so in power than flooding the market, and it gives us a better price on our end. But that also makes the beef price and the dairy price, as far as cattle goes, way higher. Yeah. So you pay for it on both ends. It definitely evens itself out. Yeah, you're getting a better price for your product, but you're also paying for it on the other end when you're trying to grow. So it's a good time to be a seller. It's a horrible time to be a buyer.
Across the board.
That's
the theme in a lot of areas of life right now.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to be the guy selling.
Yeah, you do. You want to be the one that everybody wants your product because you are going to make bank. Yeah.
Well, especially when your product is of a high quality like yours.
Right.
That's king in any market.
Yeah, and we try to be. We try to be as much as possible, because it is my name on the label and it's out in the public, and I definitely don't want a bad rep.
Which I think that's a good pressure to have.
Oh,
keep you honest.
It does. It definitely does keep you honest. Yeah. Yeah. And even when we do go to build a new creamery, none of that's going to change. So it'll still be the same product, just we'll be able to do a bigger volume and even be able to do it quicker. I'm actually, because like right now we do product one day and then it's in the stores the next day, right? So it's within 24 hours from the cow into the stores. I'm hoping with the new creamery setup that we can be able to do product, bottle that milk, and have it in the store the exact same day. That's what I'm hoping for.
You want to talk about quality.
Yeah. Yeah, because the new system, it'll heat up and cool down so much quicker. Like I should be able to do 600 gallons in like from start to finish in like 3 hours. So if I do that in the morning, well, heck, there's no reason why we can't load it on a truck and deliver it that day. It don't get any fresher than that.
Man, you've come a long way from when we last talked.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely had my nose to the grind, and I haven't stopped. I just keep growing and growing and growing, but just trying to stay afloat, honestly. It's been like every time I've started something else, it's like either the economy or whatever, it just kicks you and makes you want to keep going just to stay afloat. It's either that or you lose everything. So yeah, no, we've definitely
it's a crazy dichotomy.
It really is.
Where you're just you've got your nose to the grindstone, and you're just trying to make it work, and then you have all these external factors almost trying to pull you back down.
Right. Every time. But I definitely have got a dream and a future of and a vision of where I see this going. And honestly, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like I'm almost there. And then once I am there, then I'm going to set back and I'm going to fine tune everything that I built, everything that I've done. I'm going to sit back and now fine tune it and make it as efficient as possible, And so, obviously that first start is the robot, being efficient with that. And that's actually going to give us more milk because the cows are going to be able to come in whenever they please. So they're going to be open to fields. And when they feel pressure on them, they're going to come in and they're like, hey, I want to get milked. They're going to come in, they're going to get milked. And when they get milked, when they're done, they're going to go to a new pasture and no human touch whatsoever. So they're going to be more comfortable. They're going to be more relaxed and they can come in as many times as they want. They can come in 2-3 times. So there's a couple dairies down in Ferndale that have done it and they've seen their milk production just climb drastically to where they're milking almost 3 times a day. So instead of milking twice a day, they've got cows coming in and it's like 2.8 milkings per day. So makes a huge difference.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. So I can milk less cows and have a higher production without really changing anything other than just the comfort of the cow.
And it's automated.
But with automation, there is always still have to be hands-on. There's going to be a lot more of changing strip wires and making sure fields are ready for them when they're coming through, that when they go out, they've got a place to go. So, but having that fresh feed in front of them at all times, it's going to make a huge difference. So it'll be neat though. But at least I won't have to worry about somebody calling in sick or not showing up and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. You have a little more reliability in that aspect.
Yeah. And no workman's comp.
Which is huge in California.
Oh man. Yeah. With that and the taxes and everything, that's insane. So
that's a good spot to be in.
Yeah.
Where you're building. You're constantly building. And it's like, okay, you can track the progress of this thing it's working. You have proof of concept.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been 6 years since I came home and I hit the ground running. I haven't stopped because I've got this dream and I'm passionate about it. It's not a job. It's just everyday life for me. And I want to see how far I can take it. And nobody's told me no yet. So I'm going to keep going.
And something tells me even if they said no, you just push through it.
Yeah, probably. I probably would. I'd find a way around because that's how I've gotten as far as I have is, I've heard no before. Oh, we can't do this. Oh, you can't do that. Yeah, you can. You just find a way to do it.
And you've done it.
And I have. It's like that whole strawberry thing. People are like, oh, no, you can't do it. It won't taste right. It won't look right. This or that. No, I did it. And it tastes wonderful, And with the whole creamery thing, oh, you can't build it that soon or you won't be able to do this. Watch me. I will. And I love getting that. I love when people tell me I can't do it because it just makes me want to fight just that much more and prove them wrong. That, no, it really can happen. Just don't be lazy about it and be determined.
That's the response people should have.
Right. And they should. But so many people nowadays, they hear no and they're like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. And then they just give up on it. They let people push them to, what's the right wording for it? Control maybe?
They just dictate their lives.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Just dictate their lives. It's like, why? It's your own life. You don't want to hear that? You want to do it? Freaking do it. Find another way around it. Who cares what one person thinks or 5 other people think? Who cares? Either they're jealous of what you've got and they want it, but they can't get it, so they don't want you to have it, so they're going to tell you no, or they don't have an open mind to know how to get around it to get it done. So figure it out. And that's where I've been.
I don't even know if people are hitting that first no anymore. It's not even an external factor. It's their own mindset.
Bro,
that
definitely.
they're their first roadblock. It's not somebody else saying, "Oh, you can't do that."
Oh,
They're
really,
telling themselves that.
and I think it goes back to confidence. So many people nowadays do not have confidence in themselves. It's like, why? Well, I don't think I can do it. Have you ever tried? No. Well, why don't you try? I don't know. So between confidence and laziness and afraid of failure, yeah, you can be your biggest roadblock.
It's a potent mix.
It really is. And it's like, you're your own worst enemy. It's like, get out of your own way, take a leap, and take that fear of, of failure and try it. Who cares? And guess what? If you did fail, you learn from that failure and you know what not to do again. But get back up and do it again. Try it another way. Eventually you will get there. And you'll get there when it's the right time. I always believe that God has everything planned out for us and he gives it to us when we need it, when we deserve it or whatnot. And I believe that. But it takes hard work to get there. As nothing's going to be handed to you. And the harder you work for it, the better payoff there is. The greatness of it. I mean, it's awesome. So
I'm a big believer that it's all just delayed gratification.
definitely.
That's the key.
Definitely.
Is how long can you put in the work and not see any results?
Mhm.
And that's going to determine if you make it.
Right. Yeah. Because eventually you're going to get tired of not seeing any results. And then you're just going to give up because you think you're just sitting there spinning your wheels.
And you could have been a day away from making it.
Right. You never know. You never know. But if you're not making any progress, change what you're doing.
That's a big one.
Obviously, the way you're going about it is wrong if you're not making any progress. So set back, look at it, and be like, okay, what do I need to change? What can I change to make my progress that much quicker? Or other people too are setting too big of goals at too far away down the road. It's fine to have that 5-year plan. Like in 5 years is where I want to be at. But in between that 5 years, set some smaller goals. So that way, when you get to those smaller goals that are leading up to that 5-year goal, you can feel some gratification. You're like, hey, I'm getting there. Little by little, I might have taken 2 steps back, but I took another step forward. We're going to get there.
You didn't quit.
Exactly. Don't quit. Don't be a quitter. Mama didn't raise no quitter, right?
It's almost a lost mindset. You look at the world today and we have a lot of people who are afraid to try for fear of that failure.
Yes. Afraid of what other people think. Who cares what other people think? It's just their opinion. And everybody's got their opinion. That's fine. But don't let it dictate what you do in your life or how you look at life. You're your own person. Think for yourself.
If there's one takeaway, that's it.
Definitely.
Think for yourself.
Think for yourself. And it goes back to that whole people should be able to fulfill their dreams and what they're passionate about. And I honestly think if more people would do that, there'd be a lot more happier people, honestly, instead of just rolling through.
And the only way you're going to find that passion is if you try something.
Right.
It might not be your first one, might not even be your 15th one.
No.
But you have to try new things to find it.
Right. And yeah, exactly. If you don't know what your passion is, try something.
Yeah, if you haven't found it and you don't do anything new, how would you expect to find it?
Exactly.
Nothing's changing.
No.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Exactly. And don't expect somebody to do it for you. Because nobody else, it goes back to us talking about people don't give 2 shits about anybody else. We don't care about each other anymore. So don't wait for somebody to come in and give you this opportunity of greatness without doing anything. Because it's not going to happen. Because if it's that great of an opportunity, guess what? That person's going to take it for themselves. They're not going to hand it to you and watch you grow while they sit in the same spot. It's not going to happen. If you want something, go get it. Go get it.
Go get it. And you have to be prepared. A lot of people want something to just fall in their lap, but they're not doing any of the work that would bring that about.
Right. You got to be prepared to work your butt off for it and lose some sleep. Honestly, and lose some time with family. Family is always the brunt of it, and it sucks. And I've seen it with my family. It gets tough sometimes, and especially having a new little one in the world, it can get hard to try to balance the business and the growth in your dreams and not put your family on the back burner while you're trying to fulfill these dreams. So, yeah. But definitely, I mean, you've got to be willing to do it. So,
yeah, life's a balancing act in that way.
oh, it really is.
You have to just, because everyone's only got 24 hours.
Yes. Yeah.
So
You never
where's
know.
your time going to go?
Right.
You have
Right.
to find that balance, especially with a family. You have to find that balance.
Yeah. And for some, it's not worth it. And that's fine. If it's not worth it to you and family is way more important and you just can't see yourself as being able to balance that or whatnot, then it's not for you. And that's fine. You know, doesn't say anything more or less about you. It's just what you want to do. And, you know, like we said, each to their own. So, but if you do want it, be ready for that because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Whether you think it is or not, it's going to take some time away from family because growing never stops. It doesn't go to sleep when you do, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, you got to put in the work, man. That's life. That is life.
It is. No matter what.
It's all about trade-offs. There's this great quote, I can't think of who it's by, but it's that in life we choose our regrets.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you just have to keep that in the back of your mind.
Right. And I try to live life with no regrets because everything I've done, whether it's been a failure or growth, it's taught me and it's turned me into who I am. So I don't take any of that as regret, you know. But
It's all a lesson.
it is. It is all a lesson, you know, and I think that's what life is. Life is a lesson, you know. We live and we learn and we fail and we prosper and, you know, yeah, but we only get one life. Why waste it away sitting around doing nothing? When you leave this world, don't you want to leave something behind? You know, more than just who you were, which for some people that's fine. But for me, I want to leave something behind like, hey, this guy did this. Like, this is what he got, you know? And that's where I want to be.
Yeah, you want to have a story.
Yeah.
When you're lying on your deathbed, you want to be able to look back and say, this is what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I built this up. I had a great family. I did these things. This is what I'm leaving behind for for the next generation.
For the next generation.
You don't want to be sitting on your deathbed thinking, fuck, man, I could have been great.
Right.
And
I
wasn't.
wish I would have done this, you know, or whatever. It's always a what if. I don't want to live with that what ifs. I want to do it. I want to see it through. And I don't want to live with those regrets like a lot of people do. So yeah, definitely. I mean, for people that are feeling that way, get out there, try it, do something. Even if you're afraid of it, tell you what, I was scared out of my mind and I still am. I still am scared, but you just can't be afraid. You've got to be willing to fail and be able to learn from that failure, but keep pushing through. You've got to be willing to do that. And so being afraid is actually a good thing. If you're not afraid, you're not doing it right. You know, to be on the edge and to be way out of your comfort zone on something that you've never done before and you have no idea about, it's actually a good thing. You know, that means you're doing something right. So, and for a lot of people too, they're like, where do I start? Talk to people. Talk to people that have done it. Talk to people that are in it. And you'll eventually find somebody that is like, hey, I'll guide you. Here's my contacts. Here's these contacts. Talk to these people. They will help you get going in the right direction. You know, just word of mouth. Find it. Don't find it on the internet.
Yeah. Stay off the internet.
You know, not everything on the internet is true. It's like, don't go Googling it and that whatnot. Get outside. Go talk to your community. Like, hey, this is what I want to do. What do you think? And, you know, and if you are making a product that's going to be sold within the community, make sure that it's something that people want first before you go spending all your money and time into doing it, you know? So, yeah. If you're actually trying to make it a living. Now, if it's a hobby,
then who cares?
Then who cares?
But if you're depending on this, probably good to make sure people want it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not bad to have a focus group.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that was, for me, I knew that's what people wanted before I even started a creamery. I talked to stores and talked to people and they were all about it. So when I had the community support, I knew I was like, okay, I can make something of this. You know, definitely did a little bit of research and studying before I went ahead and started building this. So, but yeah.
Well, Darin, thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah, of course.
We gotta not wait another few years before we get back in here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Maybe give me another year or two and we'll have a lot more growth.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
Oh, definitely.
Do you want to tell people where they can find your product, all your stuff?
Yeah. If you guys want to buy we got regular milk, we've got chocolate milk made with Ghirardelli chocolate, and obviously we've talked the strawberry milk with real strawberries. You can buy that at all of the 5 Murphy's markets, both of the co-ops, Arcata Co-op, Eureka Co-op, both of Eureka Naturals stores, and I've got a store in, I cannot pronounce their name for the life of me. It's down in Garberville. It's a health food store. I can't even pronounce their name. I don't even want to butcher it. But anyways, it's a health food store down there in Garberville. But yeah, that's where you can find our products at. Yeah.
I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to try that strawberry milk, man.
Yeah, definitely.
That sounds really good.
Definitely try it out and see what you think. And I'm hoping that's going to be a big hit is that one for sure. So anyways, thanks for having me, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, man. This was great. We'll do it again.
Definitely.